Hi guys, in this video I'm going to illustrate to you how to cut this style. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start with the foundation of this dress. It is a princess that bustier with an underbust cut. It has a basic sleeve and the bottom part is a skirt. So let's start with the skirt. So for the skirt, I'm starting with the back part. So you're going to grab your fabric and you're going to fold into two. You're going to first of all start with the zip allowance. We are cutting the lower part of this gown first, okay? Then you're going to tag that place zip allowance. Okay, so after tagging it zip allowance, you're going to fold it and you're going to go ahead to mark out your length. That's the lower part, the skirt length of this gown. So I went ahead to mark my skirt length and I connected the markings with a straight line. Okay, so I went ahead to mark out my skirt length. This is my skirt length and I tagged it skirt length. Then the next thing I went ahead to do was to mark my hip point and my knee point. There's no standard measurement for that. That's for your hip point, the standard measurement is from your waist downwards 8 inches, but for your knee point it depends on who you are sewing for. Okay, so I went ahead to mark my hip point and also my knee point. So that's my hip point and my knee point. Okay, so from that the top part is my waist point. Okay, so from that point I went ahead to mark my waist. Okay, I went ahead to mark my waist. You're going to go ahead to mark your waist, your hips. Now when you get to your knee point, you're going to step your hips measurement down by 1 inch. Okay, when you get to your knee point, you're going to step your hips measurement down by 1 inch. When you get to your full, that's your skirt length, you're going to step your hips measurement down by 2 inches. This is what I am working with. Okay, so after doing this, the next thing I went ahead to do was to connect my markings with straight and slanted line. Now I'm going to be calling my measurement in inches, even though we are working with cm, so that you guys would understand. You grab. So I went ahead to connect my waist to my hips to my knee point to my skirt length, and this is what we have here for the back. So this is what the back part looks like. Very simple, very straightforward, easy peasy, like you guys say. Okay, so the next thing I went ahead to do was to cut it out. I verified my measurement again. Even though this is an illustration, I wanted to make sure that everything is precise. This is what the back part looks like. Very straightforward, you know, no plenty drama. Now we're going to go ahead to cutting the front part of the skirt. Okay, so I started with my fabric on a fold. I marked my hip point, my knee point, and the length of my skirt. Okay, remember from your waist to your hip point is 8 inches. Otherwise, maybe you want to adjust it whatever way you want to adjust. Okay, so I went ahead to draw my lines, my hip point, my knee point, my skirt length. Then that top part is my waist, and I just went ahead to take my waist measurement, my hip measurement. Now when you get to your knee point, you're going to step your hips measurement down by 1 inch, and at the hem you're going to step your hips measurement down by 2 inches. If you want it to be more pencil, you can as well go ahead to, you know, play around with your measurement. So after doing this, the next thing I went ahead to do was connect my markings together. Okay, so this is what I did here. I connected my markings together. This is what we have going on here, guys, right? Yeah, so for the front part is very easy to cut and to sew. Okay, so the first thing I went ahead to do, I was tagging it so you guys don't get confused. And this is what we have here for my waist, my hips. So I was explaining to you guys that when you get to your knee point, you're going to step your hips measurement down by 1 inch, and when you get to the hem, you're going to step your hips measurement down by 2 inches. That is what I was explaining to you guys here, or that is what I'm explaining to you guys here. So after doing this, the next thing I went ahead to do was to cut it out. Okay, I went ahead to cut it out. So for the front, you guys know that the front part has a slit in front. So let me just walk you around this. Now from your hip point, what you are going to do is, depending on how long you want the slit to be, for me I would come down from my hip point by 5 inches. I'll come down from my hip point by 5 inches. Now you guys know that when you want to take your dart, we mark our dart from the center at, so I came down by 5 inches. Okay, you are going to come down by 5 inches. Now from the center you are going to mark 4 inches. You guys know where we normally always mark our point for our dart, which is 4 inches. You're going to mark that at that point. You're also going to come to the hem. From the center you're going to mark 4 inches, After marking, you are going to draw a straight line. Okay, you're going to draw a straight line, so which is what I did here. I drew a straight line connecting the 2 points together. Now for the slit, depending on how wide you want it, at the bottom you're going to mark however wide you want it to be. For me, I can mark 2 inches on both sides, so when the slit is open it is 4 inches wide, or you can mark 1.5 inch on both sides, so when it's open you can get maybe 3 inches wide. So depending on how wide you want it, you're going to mark at the hem, and you're going to connect it to that point with a slanted line which looks like a triangle, which is what I did here. Okay, so I just went ahead to connect my markings together, and you guys see that we have a triangle going on here. And the next thing I went ahead to do was just to cut it open. So for this slit, it just depends on your preference, how wide you want it, how big, how open you want it. Okay, so I'm just showing you guys how to get the slit. So after doing this, I went ahead to cut it open. I'm taking my time so you guys will see and you guys will understand very well. If you're hearing boom 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 boom, see guys, I'm doing this voiceover and there's work going on in my house. Okay, now so this is what the front part looks like. Very simple, very easy, very straightforward. It's very simple to cut and to sew. Okay. Okay, now so this is what the front part looks like. I'm going to show you the front and the back together, so you have a very vivid representation of what the front and the back part looks like. Here comes my baby. Okay, prepare for more baby sounds. Yeah, so this is what the front part and the back part looks like, and you can see what it looks like side by side with the picture. That's the picture of the dress. Now you can see that we have some appliques, some beadings going on in the front part of this dress. So I'm just going to show you how to align your beading when you are going to be stoning, when you are going to be beading this dress. You're just going to have this sort of asymmetric movement, or asymmetric alignment, asymmetric arrangement, you're going to align it on the front part of the skirt like that, and that will take care of your applique or the design. Okay, so that is it for the bottom part, which is the skirt part of this gown. Now for the blouse part of this gown, we're also going to start with the back, and of course we're going to start with the zip allowance. So I started with the zip allowance and I tagged it zip allowance. You can work with 1 inch zip allowance, you can work with 1.5 inch. For me, I just try not to exceed 2 inches. 2 inches is even too much, but you know, you get the drill. So I tagged it zip allowance. So after securing the zip allowance and folding it back in place, now let me tell you what those lines are. That is my bust point. The first line there is my bust point. The second line there is my dart point. And you guys know that dart point, the standard dart point is 9 inches. That's from the top. Then the next line there is my under bust point, and the last line there is my waistline. Okay, now from the top, the first thing I did was for my neck width, I marked 4 inches. I'm calling the exact inches I'm going to use if I was cutting on a fabric. So you guys should not look at the CM I'm working with, though. I'm saying it now before you come to comment section and start quarreling. Good. So my neck width is 4 inches and my neck depth is 1 inch. Okay, so after marking that, the next thing I went ahead to do was to mark the shoulder point. So you are going to mark your own shoulder point. You are going to mark it at the top and at the bust point too, so that everything is precise. Then I came down by 1/2 inch to get my shoulder slant. So this is what we have going on here for my shoulder slant. Now the next thing I went ahead to do is at my dart point, I marked 4 inches from the middle. I also did that on the bottom, and I drew a straight line. That is where you're going to insert your dart. At the bottom on those sides there, you're going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides. That is what you need to pick your dart when you're sewing your dart. Okay, 1/2 inch on both sides. This is what you need to sew your dart. Sure people are understanding? Yeah, so I've inserted my dart. When you are sewing your own, you are going to pick your dart at this point. Okay, now the next thing I went ahead to do was to mark my bust, my under bust measurement, and my waist measurement. Okay, so I went ahead to mark all these things I've mentioned for you. I went ahead to mark everything, and I connected my marking with a straight and a slanted line. Okay, so this is what we have going on here. After this, I went ahead to add sewing allowance. So whether you want to add 2 inches sewing allowance, 3 inches sewing allowance, now you know, add the one when you want add the one you want to add. Okay, so this is what we have going on here for the back part of this gown. Very simple, very easy, very straightforward. The next thing I went ahead to do was to cut it out so you guys will see what it looks like when you've cut it out. So this is our working piece for the back part of this gown. Okay, now the next I'm going to go ahead to do is to draft the front part. Now that's my bust point, my nipple point, my under bust point, and my waist point. Okay, my waistline. So from the top I went ahead to mark 4 inches, and for the neck width, okay, for the neck width 4 inches. For the neck depth, I'm going to, is either you're going to connect it to your nipple point or 1 inch above your nipple point. Okay, you're going to connect it to your nipple point directly or 1 inch above your nipple point. You can see that the dress has a lot of cleavage showing. Okay, so from the center I also went ahead to mark my shoulder point, and I connected my markings with a straight line to get my armhole curve. Okay, if I've been calling armhole curve shoulder point, forgive me. I inserted my armhole curve. I came down by 1/2 inch to get my shoulder slant. Okay, now the next thing I went ahead to do is at my nipple point I marked 4 inches or whatever your in between is at my nipple point and my waistline, and I connected my markings with a straight line. What I want to do now is I want to insert my princess dart. If you don't know how to draft a princess dart bustier, okay, if you don't know how to draft a princess dart bustier, I have detailed tutorial on my channel on how to draft a princess dart bustier, and you can check it out. Okay, so what I just did was I marked 1 inch on both sides at the waistline and at the under bust point, and with a triangular line I'm going to connect my under bust point to my nipple point. Okay, that is what I'm doing here. So I'm going to leave all the links to the tutorial in the description box. Okay, now this is what we have here, guys. Now just like we always do for our dart, we want to create the cup. Okay, we want the cup to form very well, and we're just going to take out 1 extra inch and form our bustier. If you don't understand all these things that is going on here, I am drafting a princess dart bustier. If you don't know how to draft a princess dart bustier, check my YouTube channel. I have detailed tutorial on how to do that. Okay, so this is what we have going on here. Next thing I went ahead to do was to mark my bust measurement, and I'm connecting my armhole to my bust point. Okay, so I marked my bust measurement, I connected my armhole to my bust point. Then the next thing I went ahead to do was to mark my under bust measurement. Okay, you're going to mark your under bust measurement. At the bottom you're going to mark your waist. Okay, now you see the distance between those 2 points, you're going to add it back. You guys know that for our patterns, whatever you minus, you need to add it back. Okay, so that everything will be precise and approximate. Okay, so this is it now. So after doing all that, I went ahead to connect my markings with straight and slanted line, however it looks. Okay, so this is what we have going on here. So after doing that, the next thing I also went ahead to do was to add sewing allowance. You must add sewing allowance for mistakes, for your seam. You have to add sewing allowance. Okay, so which is what I did here. I added sewing allowance. So after adding sewing allowance, you guys know that this dress has an under bust cut. Okay, so you are going to connect it directly to where your neck depth stopped, or you are going to come down by 1/2 inch, whatever you want. Now at my under bust point, you are going to come down by 1 inch so that you have this high-low effect of the under bust cut. Okay, so you can come down by 1 inch, you can come down by 1.5 inch, whatever you want to do. Okay, and you're going to connect it to your under bust point in the middle. Just look at what I'm doing. If you're not understanding, slow it down, watch it all over again, watch it over and over again till you understand. Now at my under bust point in the middle, you're going to come down by either 1.5 inch or 1 inch, depending on how deep you want it to be, and you're going to connect it to that point. Okay, just look at the point I'm connecting it to. You're going to connect it to that point. You can see. Okay, you're going to connect it to that point. This is what is going to give you all those designs in the middle. So see this point I'm shading, we're going to cut that part away and throw it away because we don't need it. Okay, that place is the neck outline, so we're also going to cut that out. So after cutting, this is what we have going on here for the front part. You can see that the bustier is ready. Okay, this is what the middle looks like. You can see it looks like what we have in the picture. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I showed you guys one arrangement and I decided to like arrange it and I decided to arrange it very, very well for you guys so that it will make sense for you people. Now for the middle, you can open it up and put like a hook and eye so you can easily get into the dress. For me, I'm going to open it up and add a hook and eye because from the picture it looks like it has a hook and eye there. It looks like you can open it. Okay, so do what works for you. So this is just the easy way to draft the front part of this gown. You can see this is what it looks like. Very easy, very straightforward. No plenty nya. Now remember to put your applique on the point, your bead, your stone. Put your applique on the point where you saw where they put it in this style. I forgot to mention the designer of this style is Vicky James. The person who is wearing the style is HILDA BACI. Okay, now for the sleeve. Okay, so to cut the sleeve, you are going to mark out your sleeve length. Okay, you're going to mark your sleeve length. Now the first line there is my upper arm, the second line is my armhole point, and the third line is the sleeve length. Now if you don't know how to cut a basic sleeve, I have a detailed tutorial on my channel on how to cut a basic sleeve. Check it out. Even though I'm showing you how to cut a basic sleeve here, just check out the detailed tutorial on how to cut a basic sleeve from my channel. It will make more sense there. So I'm just showing you guys how they cut the basic sleeve. Okay, it's just a basic sleeve they're cutting here. After cutting it, drawing out your measurement, you're going to add sewing allowance. Like I said, if you don't know how to cut a basic sleeve, I have a detailed tutorial. This is just an illustration on how to cut it. Okay, this is the shape you need to cut it. So after doing all this, adding the measurement for my upper arm, my armhole circumference, and the circumference of my wrist, I went ahead to connect my markings together and I cut it out. Okay, so I cut it out. This is what the sleeve looks like. Okay, now if you look at that sleeve very well, you see that it has something that looks like a flared. It's not a full flared, but it looks a shape, is a flare somehow. So I'm going to show you how to cut it in this video. Okay, so to cut that little flare that is on the hem of the sleeve, you're going to fold your fabric, your paper, whatever you're working with. You know the way you fold when you want to cut a 180 flared, that is how you're going to fold it. Okay, so when you fold like this, you're going to cut out the part you don't need, which is what I did. I cut out the part that I don't need and I threw it away. I threw it away. Okay, now you're going to draw. You guys know how we mark when we want to cut our flare to get the waist or the hem or wherever you want to attach it. So I made sure I got the measurement in the mid in that circular point there, and you're just going to mark either 2.5 inches or 3 inches depending on the length, but the sleeve is the flare is not a long one, so 3 inches is the max for me. Oh, before you come and start shouting in the comment section, for me, so I just took 3 inches on those 3 points. Okay, and I connected the markings together. You can see we have a flare, but not really a full flare, which is the effect the sleeve had. Okay, so I just went ahead to cut it out, and this is what we have here, guys. This is what the basic sleeve and the flare looks like, and this is how it looked in the outfit. Okay, so this is the simplest way, the fastest way, and the easiest way to go about cutting the sleeve and the whole outfit. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow me. Bye.